Coach Sims, welcome to UCF. How you been finding it so far?
Oh, it's been good. Yeah, it's been good. I've enjoyed being here with these group of men. Coach Addison Williams has been phenomenal since the first time I spoke with him in January, and just defense staff that I got a chance to get and be around and learn and know better. Coach Kenny Ingram and Kenny Martin and David Gibbs. All of those men bring a wealth of knowledge and experience and wisdom that I can extract. And ultimately, I want to have the opportunity to win. I want to have an opportunity to work around quality people and learn and grow. You know, and I think that being here, my short amount of time, I've realized that I've had an opportunity to do that.
Who's a player in that linebacking core that people aren't talking about, you think they'll be talking about, that's really taking that next step here since you've gotten to know them?
A player that probably is taking the next step. Well, we know about Jason Johnson. I think that there's still things that he can work on to improve his game. And the verdict is still out. We brought in two new transfers, Ryan Davis and Isaiah Paul. We brought Walter Yates was already here. We brought in two new freshmen as well. And we had some younger guys, TJ Bullard and Cameron Moore, who were kind of in the middle of that pack. So I truly feel like the verdict is still out with just day 3 of fall camp. Guys are making progress, and I'm really putting the guys to the limit and making them and challenging them to compete. And when I walk in my meeting room, I say, listen, there is no depth chart. This is a rotation, and I want to make sure everybody go out there and we compete for the starting job. And that way, I know that the guys are going to give everything they have to compete and give everything they have.
How would Coach Sims coach Ernie Sims, the linebacker, the All-American linebacker? How would that go if you both were in the same room?
No BS, extreme accountability, everything attention to the detail, and I would remind them that there's no excuses. If you want to be a pro, you got to act like a pro. You got to dress like a pro, talk like a pro, act like a pro, and do things like a pro, and give extreme effort while you do it. And to be very honest with you, that's exactly how I coach my boys now. I express to them about the standard, and the standard starts with our attitude. I want to make sure that we give them the best attitude, no matter how we feel or what the situation may be. We give our best attitude, and then from there, I want to make sure that we're displaying great attitude, great character. And that's just making sure that when people see us, we reflect a certain standard of how we carry ourselves by the way we walk and we talk, and then on the field, just making sure that we have great effort. We play with phenomenal and outrageous effort. People should be able to identify an Ernie Sims linebacker group, by the way about how hard they play. And I think that's something to be said about a defensive player that plays with outrageous effort. And then the next thing is just I want to make sure my boys are commanding the field, communicating, and then playing with great violence and intensity. Those are the staples I think of a linebacker. When I grew up, I look at guys like Derrick Brooks and Marvin Jones. Those guys had a certain demeanor to them. Right. They had a certain standard to them, and that's kind of what I envision for my boys as well.
We've been hearing about how Jason Johnson is starting to be trying to work on getting a lot more vocal. What is kind of your experience working with Jason Johnson, and how has he kind of grown since you've met him?
Baby steps. When I was first hired, he really didn't know me, and he kept everything close to the vest. And we're talking about me and his personal relationship. And then over time, I started seeing him kind of smile a little bit more, gave me a little smirk, and now he gives me a full smile. But on the field, I've seen him really kind of blossom as well in regards to him just saying things and opening his mouth, and when he's in the middle of the defensive group, breaking it down and not being in the back, and in the meeting room being more vocal, and maybe criticizing or corrective criticism of if we need to change things and speaking up. So I think that right there is progress for me. So back to originally what I said, baby steps. And I think that going into the season, because everybody's different. You know, everybody leads in different ways, and I don't want him to be a completely totally different person. But I do know things that's going to help him be more attractable on the next level. And I think that's an area where I've seen growth in, and I'm excited about, you know, things that's going to happen down the road that's going to allow him to utilize what he's been working on.
Over the last couple of seasons, this linebacker room has kind of been one to experience a good amount of turnover compared to other position rooms, usually on a year-by-year basis. So for you coming in, what is it like to kind of work with a good amount of, you know, linebackers that are also new to the program, like the transfers and the freshmen like yourself are?
It's exciting. I will say, it's very exciting. At the end of the day, what it boils down to me is that it's not about what happened in the past. It's about what's about to happen into the future. And for me, it starts with the individuals. It starts with the young men that I get opportunity to impact. Me getting to know them one-on-one and what their triggers are and what they need to work on physically and mentally as well. And you know, us bringing in 2 new transfers, having, you know, 2, you know, guys that potentially will be starters, and 2 new freshmen, and then some guys in the middle like we described earlier. You know, there's a unique mixture in the room as is. You know, 9 scholarship linebackers, 12 total linebackers in total. You know, the competition level is at an all-time high here in Central Florida, and I love that because I'm at the center of it, and I get to manipulate it and control it, and coach it, and hold young men accountable to a certain standard. And what's going to happen in the end is that we're going to become better as a defensive unit, and that's what I'm truly excited about.
We've been hearing a lot about depth on this squad. Gus has talked about it several times, and so I wanted to ask you, as far as how does that apply to the linebacker room? Can you talk about the depth of this room?
Well, depth is critical now. I know some people will beg to differ that there are other you know, positions that are of greater value. I think that the linebacker position is probably the best position on the field. We have to have a certain level of intuition and intellect, while at the same time we have to have a certain demeanor, a mental fortitude, and physicality as well. You know, it's a brutal position. We have to be physical, and I think that depth, it plays a critical role in that. Where I'm trying to take the group is that I want to make sure we're being very versatile, where we can be interchangeable, where it's not one position or the other, where we can really maximize, you know, the room. So if we have 12 guys in the room right now, the way we're training the young men right now, it means really like we have 24 young men in the room. And I think that right there is extremely valuable, because anything can happen in the season, as we know. And I just want to make sure that we're doing the best we can to prepare the kids for the season.
What's the best thing that you think they can do then to prepare themselves before the season starts? What's like kind of maybe the one big thing you want to make sure they nail down before the season begins?
Wow. Nail it down to one, huh?
If you had to pick one, if you had to.
To prepare themselves is my biggest thing is just you know, just training. You know, straining the finish. I mean, the way I teach them, obviously number 1 is attitude. Number 2, I want to make sure they're prepared, you know, and being detailed in everything they do, having attention to detail. But as long as they give me everything that they have, and again, they're young men, so they're going to find every way they can to kind of buck the system in a sense. So my job is to hold them accountable to that standard. And if they give me everything that they have, and straining to the ball and showing up on time and just giving their best, I know what looks good and what doesn't look good, you know, and everything underneath that, you know, kind of align and stuff. They simply just give me that. And once we get to the season, then we'll have the best product on the field, ready to help the defense.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Coach, you know, you've got so much experience playing football. Just wondering your opinion. We're having so many accolades, or hearing so many about our defensive line. From your viewpoint, what do you have any thing you could say about the defensive line?
I think they're phenomenal. You know, I think in a linebacker world, you want your defensive lineman to excel. You know, so when I was at Florida State, we had Roger Bunkley, Darnell Dockett, you know, Those guys were beasts up front, and it made my life a whole lot easier in many facets. And to see the young men that we have, Josh Selascar and Drop, see those young men excel and get the recognition that they're receiving, that right there is a huge benefit to my room, and to the whole entire defense, and obviously to the whole entire team as well. I think it goes hand in hand. And I think that's the best way you have to have it. When you look at some of the greatest defenses, you got to have a front that marries up with the linebackers and a linebacker core that marries up with the secondary and so forth, and vice versa. And it's really exciting to me. When I was a player, you can see a distinct difference when you don't have a good defensive line, when you do have a good defensive line. And and on the other part of that as well is that it helps in recruiting as well. When you say, hey, listen, we have X, Y, and Z in front of us, and we have X, Y, and Z coming back this year, that right there will spark a kid's ear, and spark their attention. And I think that's something that's extremely valuable. So to answer your question, I think it's really important that our defensive linemen excel, because it helps not only the linebacker group, it helps the back end, and it helps the whole entire team.
What do you take from your experience at USF and bring here?
Well, being that it was my first full time as a position coach, as a player, I had dealt with a lot of, I guess you can call it losing as a player, and many times when you go through it, you're not very sure of why you go through it, and now that I have gone through it as a coach, while it was difficult, I am extremely appreciative of it, because in many aspects I feel like it has prepared me for where I'm at right now. I think that one of the things that I'm very appreciative of is that it has taught me how to just bloom where my feet are at. My job right now is to be the best linebacker coach I can, to master every single nuance that I can, for Coach Addison Williams, for Coach Malzahn, and for my boys. My boys look up to me every single day, okay? And they expect me to impart all the knowledge and the wisdom and experience that I've had from a player and from a coach. And I would not have been right here where I'm at right now if it had not been for South Florida. And that's one of the things that I'm really appreciative of right now, is that I get the opportunity to lead them from a different perspective. It's one thing having all the great accolades and the rings and everything, but it's something to be said about somebody who's got it from a losing perspective, and got it from the mud in a sense, and I can lead it from a different perspective. So I'm just really excited. I think that this linebacker core is unique. It really is. We have talent in different areas of the room, and who knows what can happen going into the first season and how things are going to end by the end of the season. That's the type of room that we have right now.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time.
All right,
Best
guys.
of luck, Coach.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.